The marble lobby smelled like money and lilies. Kendra Dalton did not raise her voice when the woman in the cream blazer blocked her path. Did not flinch when manicured fingers pointed toward the door marked deliveries. I said no showings, the woman repeated, smile tight as surgical thread. The unit isn't available for walk-ins. Kendra's husband, Marcus, stood beside her. 6'2", gray peacoat, weekend stubble. His hand found the small of her back. Steadying. He knew that touch. The one that meant, not yet. We have an appointment, Kendra said quietly. 10 o'clock. Penthouse viewing. The woman, her nameplate read Ashley Crane, senior leasing agent, glanced at her tablet. Swiped. Frowned. I don't see any Dalton here. It's under my maiden name. Hughes. Another swipe. Slower now. Eyes narrowing. Hughes. Right. Ashley's smile never wavered. I'm afraid there's been a miscommunication. That unit was just leased this morning. I should have called. Kendra's gaze didn't shift. Should have. Sorry you came all this way. Ashley gestured vaguely toward the revolving doors. There are some lovely buildings a few blocks over. More accessible price points. Silence. Not the empty kind. The kind that hums. Marcus's jaw tightened. Kendra felt it in the air between them. The coiled thing he always carried when this happened. And it always happened. Different cities. Different buildings. Same script. I see, Kendra said. She reached into her purse. Pulled out her phone. Ashley watched, expression flickering, confusion, then irritation, then something harder. Ma'am, I really need you to, one moment. Kendra's voice was silk over steel. She dialed. 2 rings. Kendra. The voice on the other end was older. Warm. Familiar. Hi, Roger. I'm downstairs at the Ashford. There seems to be some confusion about our 10 o'clock. A pause. Then, confusion. The leasing agent says the penthouse was just rented. It absolutely was not. That's what I thought. Ashley's face had gone pale. Then red. Who are you calling? She demanded. Kendra didn't answer. I'll be right down, Roger said. And hung up. Kendra slipped her phone back into her purse. Looked at Ashley with the calm she perfected over 39 years of moments exactly like this. Someone will be joining us, she said. Ashley crossed her arms. Ma'am, I don't know what you think. The elevator chimed. Out stepped a man in his 60s, silver-haired, well trousers, the kind of posture that came from boarding schools and tennis clubs. He crossed the lobby in 6 strides. Miss Crane. His voice was ice-wrapped in politeness. Ashley spun. Her face did something complicated. Mr. Whitmore. I didn't realize you were. These are the Daltons. Roger Whitmore extended his hand to Kendra. My apologies. I should have come down earlier. Kendra shook it. No apology necessary. Marcus. Roger shook his hand too. Good to see you both. Ashley's mouth opened. Closed. I was just explaining, she started, voice pitching higher, that the penthouse was all ready. It wasn't. Roger didn't look at her. Shall we go up? He led them to the elevator. Ashley followed, half a step behind, phone trembling in her hand. Inside the elevator, silence pressed down like a hand. Roger pressed PH. The door slid shut. I apologize for the confusion, he said, gaze fixed on the ascending numbers. It won't happen again. Kendra said nothing. The elevator climbed. 48 hours earlier, Kendra had found the listing on a Sunday night. The Ashford, a pre-war gem on the Upper West Side. 15 floors. Original crown molding, restored brass fixtures, a rooftop garden that overlooked Central Park. The penthouse was listed at $12,000 a month. Spacious. Light-soaked. Perfect. She called Monday morning. A chipper voice answered. Ashford Residential, this is Ashley. Hi. I'm calling about the penthouse unit. Is it still available? It is. Are you looking to schedule a tour? Yes, please. Tomorrow if possible. Of course. Let me grab some information. Name. Kendra Hughes. She'd kept her maiden name professionally. Easier that way. Great. And what time works for you? 10 a.m. Perfect. I'll send a confirmation email. See you then. It had seemed easy. Too easy. Kendra had shown the listing to Marcus that night over takeout in their Brooklyn apartment. The lease on their current place was up in 6 weeks. They'd been looking for months. Something closer to Marcus's firm in Midtown. Something with space for the office Kendra needed now that her consulting business was scaling. It's beautiful, Marcus had said, scrolling through photos. But 12 grand. We can afford it. I know. Just You sure you want to deal with Upper West Side landlords? Kendra had looked at him, at the weariness in his eyes that came from a lifetime of being the only black partner in rooms full of men who looked like Roger Whitmore. If we only went where we were wanted, she'd said softly, we'd never leave the house. He'd kissed her forehead. You're right. I'm always right. Debatable. She'd elbowed him. He'd left, and they'd set the appointment. The penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows, hardwood that gleamed, a kitchen with marble countertops and appliances that looked like they belonged in a spaceship. Ashley walked them through, voice clipped, gestures mechanical. As you can see, it's very spacious. Kendra moved through the room slowly. Touched nothing, just observed. Marcus stood by the windows, looking out at the city. Roger had disappeared into a side office, giving them space. Ashley checked her watch. I have another appointment at 11, so we'll take it, Kendra said. Ashley blinked. I'm sorry. The penthouse. We'll take it. Oh, well. Ashley's smile looked painful. There's an application process. Background checks, income verification, references, of course. And, I should mention, there's been significant interest. Multiple applicants. It's very competitive. Kendra met her gaze. I'm sure. So even with an application, there's no guarantee. We understand. Marcus's voice was quiet, controlled. What do you need from us? Ashley rattled off the list. Pay stubs, tax returns, credit reports, letters from employers, standard requests, delivered like warnings. We can have everything to you by end of day, Kendra said. Great. Ashley's tone suggested it was anything but. I'll be in touch. They left. Outside, the October air bit cold. Kendra pulled her coat tighter. Marcus said nothing until they reached the subway. She's not going to approve us. I know. So why'd we go through all that? Kendra smiled. Slow. Certain. Because I want to see what excuse she invents. The email arrived Thursday morning. Kendra was at her desk, halfway through a client presentation, when her phone buzzed. Subject, Ashford penthouse application. Update, she opened it. Dear Ms. Hughes, thank you for your interest in the Ashford's penthouse unit. After careful review of your application, we regret to inform you that we are moving forward with another candidate whose qualifications more closely align with our community standards. We encourage you to explore other opportunities within our portfolio. Best regards, Ashley Crane. Kendra read it twice. Community standards. She forwarded it to Marcus without comment. His reply came 30 seconds later, calling my lawyer. Kendra typed back, not yet. Then she opened a new email. 2. Roger.Whitmore@whitmoreholdingsgroup.com. Subject. Application status. Roger. Quick question about the Ashford penthouse. We submitted our application Tuesday. Just received a rejection citing community standards. Wanted to confirm, is this standard procedure for your properties? Best. Kendra. She hit send. Then made herself tea and returned to her presentation. Roger's response came 11 minutes later. Kendra. What? No, absolutely not. I'm looking into this now. Call you within the hour. Roger. Her phone rang 40 minutes later. Kendra. Roger sounded tired. I owe you an enormous apology. What happened? Ashley Crane. Happened. She rejected your application without running it past me or anyone else in management. Cited some nonsense about cultural fit. Kendra's tea had gone cold. She set it down. Cultural fit. Her words. From an internal memo I just found. Roger exhaled slowly. I'm terminating her employment effective immediately, and I'd like to offer you the penthouse. First month free as an apology for Roger. He stopped. I appreciate that, Kendra said carefully. But I need to know. How long has she been doing this? Silence. Roger. I don't know. His voice was quieter now. But I'm going to find out. Good. And when you do, I want a full report. Every applicant she rejected. Every excuse she used. You'll have it. Because if this is a pattern, it won't happen again. You have my word. Kendra believed him. Roger Whitmore was old money, old school, and genuinely appalled by overt racism, mostly because it was gauche. But he was also decent. They'd met years ago through mutual friends, stayed in touch through occasional dinners and professional overlap. He wasn't an ally in the activist sense, but he was honest. I want to meet with her, Kendra said. Ashley? What? Because I want to hear her explain it to my face. A pause. Then, I'll set it up. The meeting was scheduled for Saturday morning. Kendra and Marcus returned to the Ashford at 9 a.m. Roger met them in the lobby, expression grim. She's upstairs. Conference room. Is she aware of what this is about? Kendra asked. She knows she's being let go. She doesn't know you'll be here. Good. They rode the elevator in silence. The conference room was small. Glass walls. A table that seated 6. Ashley Crane sat at the far end, arms crossed, jaw tight. Her expression when Kendra walked in was a poem in 3 parts. Confusion, recognition, horror. Ms. Hughes. She stood halfway, then sat again. Mr. Whitmore, I don't understand. Sit. Roger's voice allowed no argument. Ashley sat. Kendra took the chair directly across from her. Marcus stood by the door. Miss Crane, Kendra began, voice level. You rejected our application for the penthouse. I'd like to know why. There were other candidates. More qualified. Our income is triple the required threshold. Our credit scores are both over 800. We provided references from a sitting federal judge and the CFO of Marcus's firm. What qualification were we missing? Ashley's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Cultural fit, Kendra continued. That was your phrase. What does that mean? It's just, we have a certain standard. What standard? The building has a reputation. A legacy. We need tenants who understand. Understand what? Ashley's face flushed. I don't have to explain. You do, actually. Roger's tone was ice. You're representing my company. Every decision you make reflects on me. So explain. Silence. Then, quietly, bitterly. You don't belong here. The words hung in the air. Kendra didn't react. Just studied the woman across from her. Because we're black. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Ashley looked at Roger, desperate. This isn't fair. I've worked here for 6 years. I've leased dozens of units. I pulled your records, Roger said. In the last 18 months, you rejected 12 applications from minority candidates, all with perfect qualifications, all approved by other agents after you left. You want to tell me that's coincidence? Ashley's jaw trembled. I was protecting the building. From what? Kendra asked. From. Ashley gestured vaguely. People who don't respect it, who don't understand what it means to live somewhere like this. Somewhere like what? Exclusive. Kendra leaned back. Ashley, do you know what I do for a living? A headshake. I run a corporate consulting firm. We advise Fortune 500 companies on diversity initiatives, inclusion training, bias audits. Last year, I made $2.3 million. Ashley's face went white. Marcus is a senior partner at one of the oldest law firms in Manhattan. He specializes in corporate litigation. He's argued 2 cases before the Supreme Court. Marcus said nothing, just watched. We are, Kendra continued, voice soft, precise, exactly the kind of tenants most landlords would kill for. But you didn't see that. You saw our skin and decided we didn't belong. I'm not racist. You're fired, Roger said. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. You have 10 minutes to collect your things. Ashley stood, chair scraping. You can't. I can. And I am. She looked at Kendra one last time. Something raw and ugly in her expression. Then she left. The door clicked shut. Roger sat down heavily. I'm sorry you had to do that. I'm not, Kendra said. Marcus finally spoke. How many others? Roger looked up. You said 12 applicants. Marcus continued. How many got apartments after Ashley was overruled? All of them. Eventually. Kendra's voice was sharp now. How many gave up? How many decided it wasn't worth the fight and went somewhere else? Roger had no answer. Kendra stood. We'll take the penthouse. Standard lease terms. No free month. Kendra. And I want quarterly reports. Every applicant, every approval, every rejection. Sent directly to me. Roger blinked. You want oversight. I want accountability. For how long? Kendra smiled. Then, unflinching. For as long as I'm your landlord. The room went very still. I'm sorry. Roger's face was unreadable. Kendra opened her purse. Pulled out a folder. Inside, documents. Contracts. Deeds. She slid them across the table. Roger opened the folder. Read the first page. Then the second. His expression did something extraordinary. You bought the building? Controlling interest. 60%. Closed escrow Wednesday. Roger stared at the documents like they were written in a language he'd forgotten. Whitmore Holdings sold you. He looked up. When? 3 months ago. Through an LLC. Kendra's voice was calm. Matter of fact, you were looking to liquidate non-core assets. The Ashford was on the list. My investment group made an offer. You accepted. I didn't know you were the buyer. That was intentional. Marcus moved to stand behind Kendra's chair, hand resting on her shoulder. She covered it with her own. Roger set the papers down carefully. So this whole thing, the application, the rejection, you already owned the building? I did. Then why go through all this? Kendra's gaze didn't waver. Because I needed to know if the problem was structural or individual. If Ashley was an outlier or a symptom. And she's both. Kendra pulled another document from the folder. This is a pattern analysis I commissioned. Rejection rates for minority applicants across all Whitmore properties managed by third-party leasing agents. The Ashford isn't unique. It's systemic. Roger took the report. Scanned it. His face grayed. I didn't know. I believe you. But that's the problem, isn't it? You didn't know because you didn't look. Silence. What do you want from me? Roger asked finally. I want you to fix it. Every property you manage, Whitmore-owned or client assets. I want mandatory bias training for all leasing staff. Anonymous audits. Third-party oversight. Real consequences for discrimination. That's expensive. Less expensive than a federal housing lawsuit. Roger exhaled slowly. You're right. I know. He looked at her for a long moment. Then, quietly. When did you start planning this? The day I saw the listing. You knew Ashley would reject you. I suspected. She has a Yelp review history. Complaints from other Black applicants buried under corporate responses. I wanted confirmation. So you set a trap. Kendra's expression softened slightly. I created an opportunity for her to show me who she was. She chose how to fill it. Roger nodded slowly. Gathered the documents. Stood. I'll implement everything you've outlined. You have my word. I'll hold you to it. They shook hands. At the door, Roger paused. For what it's worth, I'm glad it's you. Glad what's me? The new owner. The Ashford deserves someone who'll care for it properly. Kendra smiled. Small. Genuine. I intend to. They moved in 3 weeks later. The penthouse was everything the photos promised. Light poured through the windows like something liquid. The view stretched from the Hudson to the park. The city laid out like a promise. Kendra stood in the living room, boxes stacked around her, and breathed. Marcus emerged from the bedroom, holding a framed photo. Where do you want this? It was their wedding picture. 12 years ago. Her in ivory, him in gray, both of them laughing at something her mother had said off camera. Mantle, she said. He set it carefully in place, then wrapped his arms around her from behind, chin resting on her shoulder. You know you're terrifying, right? She leaned back into him. I'm efficient. You bought an entire building to prove a point. I bought an investment property with strong fundamentals and a discriminatory leasing agent. 2 birds. He laughed. The sound rumbled through her. I love you, he said. I know. They stood there, wrapped in each other, watching afternoon light paint the walls gold. The next morning, Kendra received an email from Roger. Attached, a list of 12 names. The applicants Ashley had rejected. And a note. I've contacted each of them personally. Offered to waive application fees and first month's rent if they're still interested in Whitmore properties. For have accepted so far. I'll keep you updated. Also, bias training starts next month. Mandatory for all staff. I hired the firm you recommended. Thank you for the kick in the ass. I needed it. Our Kendra forwarded it to Marcus with a single word, progress. His reply, you're still terrifying. She smiled. That afternoon, Kendra met with her property manager, a woman named Diane, 50-something, competent, with a no-nonsense air Kendra appreciated. I want to talk about tenant retention, Kendra said. They sat in the building's management office, a cramped space that badly needed updating. And community building. Diane nodded. What are you thinking? Monthly resident mixers. A book club. A community garden on the roof that's actually accessible, not just decorative. I want people to feel like this is home, not just an address. That's different. Different good or different bad? Diane smiled. Different good. Most owners just want the rent check cleared. I'm not most owners. I'm noticing. They spent the next hour planning. Events calendar. Budget allocations. A resident survey to gauge interest. When Diane left, Kendra sat alone in the office. This space would do for now. But eventually, she'd meet something bigger. Somewhere to manage not just the Ashford, but the other properties she was acquiring. The portfolio she was building. Intentionally. Carefully. Buildings where people like her, people who'd been rejected, dismissed, told they didn't belong, could find a home without having to prove their humanity first. It was a long game, but Kendra was patient. 6 months later, the Ashford had changed. Not the bones of it, the pre-war elegance, the brass fixtures, the history embedded in the walls, but the spirit. The lobby hosted a monthly art show featuring local artists. The rooftop garden had doubled in size, with plots for residents to grow herbs and vegetables. The book club met every third Thursday, and the tenant roster looked different. Still diverse in income, Kendra had no interest in gentrification, but diverse in every other way too. Black families, immigrant professionals, an elderly Chinese couple who'd been priced out of Chinatown, a young trans artist who'd been rejected from a dozen buildings before finding the Ashford, people who made the building feel alive. Kendra walked through the lobby one Saturday morning, coffees in hand, heading up to the penthouse where Marcus was attempting to assemble a bookshelf. A woman stopped her near the elevators. 30s, bright headscarf, a toddler on her hip. "Miss Dalton?" Kendra paused. "Yes. I just wanted to thank you. We moved in last month, Unit 7C, and this place feels different. Safe. My son can play in the courtyard without me worrying someone's going to call the cops because he's too loud." The woman's eyes were shining. Kendra's throat tightened. "I'm glad you're here," she said softly. "Me too." The woman shifted the toddler higher, smiled, and walked away. Kendra stood there a moment longer. Then she stepped into the elevator. Wrote it up. Marcus had indeed failed at bookshelf assembly. Pieces scattered across the floor like abstract art. "Don't say it," he warned. "I wasn't going to say anything. You were thinking it." "I was thinking," Kendra said, handing him a coffee, "that you're a brilliant litigator and a terrible carpenter." "Accurate." She kissed him. Tasted like coffee and morning and home. "I'll call someone," she said. "Please." They sat on the floor together, backs against the couch, looking out at the city that had tried so many times to tell them they didn't belong. And Kendra thought about Ashley Crane, now unemployed, explanationless, a cautionary tale in real estate circles. She thought about Roger Whitmore, who'd implemented every reform she demanded and then some. She thought about the 12 applicants who'd been rejected and were now living in Whitmore buildings with dignity intact. And she thought about the woman in the lobby, eyes shining, grateful for a space where her son could simply be a child. Not revenge. Something better. Something sustainable. Marcus squeezed her hand. "What are you thinking about?" "The next building." He looked at her. "You're already planning another purchase?" "3, actually. There's a property in Brooklyn, one in Harlem, and a small complex in the Bronx that's about to go into foreclosure. You're building an empire. I'm building a solution." She rested her head on his shoulder. "One property at a time." Outside, the city hummed. Endless. Indifferent. Full of locked doors and closed rooms, and people who made assumptions about who belonged where. But inside the Ashford, the doors were open. And Kendra Dalton, investor, owner, architect of her own belonging, sat in the home she claimed not by asking permission, but by refusing to accept no as an answer. The bookshelf could wait. Right now, this moment was enough.